I know you're gonna dig this.
This is David Webb
and Jasmine Summers, Super Soul Sister,
host of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles, along with the
Dayton Scene Radio Show,
recorded live here at our DATV Studios in Dayton, Ohio. Now, our in-studio guest is Slapback, all the way from Orange County, California. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to come on our shows, guys. How's it going? Good. You're looking good. You're looking good. Hey, would you introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you're doing? Go ahead.
I'm JARA Harris. I'm the founder of SLAPBAK. Bass, vocals, drums, guitar, keyboards. This is my wife, Elise.
I'm Elise, and I play keys.
I'm Deja, and I do vocals.
I'm TJ Quake, and I'm the rapper, crazy man on stage.
I am Jazz, and I play rhythm guitar.
I'm Jesse, and I play drums and sing.
I'm Gus, and I play guitar as well.
Man, thank you. You guys, where everybody's from? Y'all just want to make sure, where's everybody from? Where y'all from? I know Orange County is y'all base, but where's everybody from?
They're like from out here. Where are you from?
I'm from Olathe, Kansas.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know, it's amazing the energy when I see you guys on stage. The things y'all did, I was amazed. But what brought you out here to the land of funk? What brought you out here?
Man, I've been trying to get SLAPBAK out here for years. And when the first record came out back in the 90s, Fast Food Funkateers, we had a pretty big spike in Cleveland. So we were selling the most units out in Cleveland, but Warner Brothers at the time, and the industry was going through changes, and we were a live band, but we never had tour support to hit the areas that we were kind of blowing up in, and so it just never worked out that we made it out to Ohio, Cincinnati or Dayton or anything. So when I got the call from Levitt to come out here, I was like, I'm going to make it happen. I don't care what we have to do. We're going to make it happen. We're going to come out there and do it. And everybody had such open arms. We added a couple local shows and just got to know people in the community and just vibe. And it was just like so much love, and it was like almost like a extended family coming out here. Like we should have been out here years ago, but we're here now, so it's cool.
Yeah. Now, when y'all first started out, was you an original member, right?
Yes.
How many original members were there before you get this new super group?
That Fast Food Funkateers band pretty much disbanded after the second record back in 94, 95. And then TJ came on board. Yeah, but TJ was back even when we had the first record, but he was a roadie. And then,
I was helping with equipment.
Yeah. But I always knew he could rap, and we just kind of hit it off. We had like another side project he was doing that I was producing, and then I just decided that we would start recording, writing some stuff together, and it was actually TJ that gave me the energy to even start up SLAPBAK again, because he has this vibrant, we have a fun, recording and everything, and then we did. If It Ain't Broke, Don't Funk With It, brought my sisters back, a couple other crank keyboard player, and that's when we had Sway and We Come to Jam, and we had some, pretty good success with that record too. But then,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I'm just saying, it's been through many changes. I mean, this band, I started this band in 1990. So it's been through some changes. This ain't just the second wave of Slapback. It's been like...
Double digits.
Yeah. We've been through some flavors, some heat.
I was born after the first few.
Right.
Then I was born.
These three are when you were born.
You guys are the youngest of the band?
I'm younger than you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the youngest son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
My sister that was in the band played, her husband, they had a band with his dad. So I knew Gus when he was born.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Yes. And so, and these two together, and my daughter, she came in at 1998, so we already had 3 records before Jazz was born.
And before Jazz was even born.
And now here she
was
is.
living the thought.
Here she is. In the band.
One thing I have to say, I noticed Jazz and Gus has this chemistry
Yeah.
when I was on stage.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like a romantic chemistry. Because he's right on the stage, she's left on the stage,
Yeah.
but he's looking over like, hey honey. I'm playing A minor, where are you at?
Like that.
Right, I'm really intrigued by the name Slapback. What specifically does that mean for your group? I've heard of come back, run back, let's get back. But
Think of
Slapback.
Seinfeld.
You know what's funny? Slapback, to be honest, never meant anything until I would say recently. It actually means something for me now because I feel like I've slapped back from going through the cancer thing, and we had a fire, lost everything. We've had some serious trials in the last 5-6 years. So now it almost like the name it means something. But when I came up with the name, it came from a song called Slapback that we had. And we were so desperate trying to find a name of the band, we were just calling out names, and then we started calling out songs, and somebody in the band still co-played Slapback. I'm like, what about Slapback? So it didn't mean anything. Then a lot of people thought because I'm the singer and I play bass, they thought it had something to do with the slap of the bass, but it didn't mean anything.
So it seems like what you're really saying is that it encompassed the soul of what brought you guys together,
Right.
but you were not aware at the time
Right.
that it was going to be so meaningful.
I like the way she put it.
Yeah, I know. Much better than what I said.
Let's quote.
No, you guys.
Can you just say that?
Yeah, right.
But he did say that. He
Yeah.
did say that. You said you had a fire. Did it destroy equipment, or was anyone hurt?
So the crazy thing is, I had just recently gotten all of Slapback's history out of storage, and I was going to digitize it, and we were going to put together kind of like a Slapback documentary, because it's been a very interesting journey. We don't have time to get into what our journey's been, but it's a crazy story. And so I had everything on site at the studio, which was like a studio loft where we lived, and she was 9 months pregnant.
Oh.
9 months pregnant at the time. We had a fire. The building had a fire. We lost everything. I lost all the Slapback history, all the Slapback masters,
Oh, my.
all the VHS tapes, DV tapes, everything. Everything was gone. And so I'm standing outside. We're standing outside of the building with the fire department, and it was Santa Ana winds, so the winds were crazy. It was like you couldn't stop the fire. It went up so fast in winds. It just went up so fast, and we're standing there with her and her mom, and she's out to here,
Right.
at 9 months pregnant, and I kind of laughed. I felt bad laughing, but I'm like, this is clean slate. When there's nothing you can do about it, and she knows because she's always like, you can laugh at anything, but I was really just kind of thought, this is really, it's not funny, but it's funny.
Well,
everything is gone.
It sounds like it's a part of your superpower and how you become who you are. Because if you were not able to laugh, then you'd be stagnant, you'd be stuck. But I see you keep evolving and becoming better and better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question.
She's really good at
Let's
this.
go back. You was talking about the cancer. And let's drill down on that a little bit more.
Yes.
I know that's a sensitive subject. I didn't want to bring it up, but I know before we come on the air, you mentioned that. Let's talk a little bit more about that, and what do people need to know about what you went through?
I had like a lump on my neck, and this is back in 2021. And I went to the doctor a couple of times. It's like they thought it was like a swollen lymph node, and come to find out, it's cancer, and stage 4.
Ooh.
So that experience was a hard lesson, because everything I thought life was, all of a sudden was like, what? Cancer, stage 4, and it was like, me being that kind of person, I'm always a positive person. I didn't think I was gonna die or anything like that, but it was just like, wow, what am I gonna have to do? I started thinking about my family, my daughter, my wife, and my kid, who was only 2 at the time, 2 or 3, I think it was 2 or 3. And you just realize that you can't prepare yourself for everything. Sometimes you go through life thinking, I'm going to save for this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this planned out. Something like that happens, and it's like, detour, just no warning,
Slapback
bam.
moment, yeah.
And, and so we had to put the band on hold. We did a couple of things that we probably shouldn't have done, because it was during the COVID time, and they're like, if you catch COVID, it's going to push your treatments back.
Ooh.
And I wanted to do 2 more Slapback shows. And so we were sitting there at the house with my daughter, my wife, and my daughter's mom. We were all sitting there talking, and she didn't want me to do it, because she was just worried, about her husband, and none of them wanted me to do it. But Jazz kind of knew my heart, and she's like, I don't know if we could stop him. He's gonna do it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Might as well support.
Yes.
Right.
And everything, not to get into everything, but everything from that point till now, the love and support that I got from people is priceless. Like I cried about it to them the other day at the where we're staying, because I get emotional about that side of it, not going through the cancer, but just how people can be. How people can be so supportive and loving, and that's why I love Dayton. We came here to a situation where everybody's just like brought us in, hugs, love. We're dancing, we're funking together. That's kind of what pushes me in my life, and everyone in this band is like that. That's why we vibe so well together. It's like a really strong.
I see a lot of energy on stage, and like the family energy, and then like when we hung out together. For these couple of days, I mean, it's like, hey, we was like family. I was like Uncle Gus.
Right. But but I gotta tell you, it's like, when I see I was like a vessel through that whole situation. I couldn't tell you what kind of cancer I had. I couldn't tell you where I needed to go. I was just like, go here. If my wife hadn't have made all the calls, got up all hours of the morning, did everything that she did, because I was like clueless. I was just, I could just function on just being here.
You couldn't even talk.
And I couldn't talk for months. So.
I'd like to know, from a wife's point of view, were you, I know you could not have been as still as he was. Were you formulating in your mind things that needed to happen, or did they just come to you, or had you had any experience with cancer, people experiencing cancer?
Not being a caregiver the way I had to be. I couldn't really focus on feelings. I felt like I was on the coach of a losing team. You got to do this. You got to call this. Wow. Crush those pills. Yeah. Put them in the feeding tube. Here's your day. You got to do these pills, these pills. We're going to the ER again. Call the doctors.
Wow.
Insurance. So it was a lot of work for me. I wasn't really super lovey-dovey, but I had to get it done, because it was a whole mess. It was really scary. And he couldn't talk. We couldn't even communicate. Yeah. It's like,
wow.
What's your pain level? We had to do, that was it. Like, there was no, take the machine, They're the feeding tube, all the things.
Would you say that experience gave you a deeper connection with your husband? And also, I know that band members had to be around and supporting. Would you say that?
Yeah, I would say, like, for the band and stuff, I feel like it was a little bit COVID-y where everything was pretty separate. Mm-hmm. I think we weren't seeing a lot of people. Anything, he got down to, he lost 72 pounds.
Oh,
you know,
a big
so
change.
That was a skeleton.
Anything. I mean, the oncologist said they probably overtreated him. He was this close. Yeah. So we were very, very separate, masked way more than everybody else, and all that because I continued to work. So
I can understand that. Daughter.
Yeah.
What did you see in your parents and their ability to slap back? Could you see something formulating between them, or you were just as maybe ambivalent to everything as they were?
Well, I actually didn't know the depth of how close he was to not making it till after the fact. And the whole thing, like, he's always been so strong, but this was like next level. Like,
yes,
I just looked up to him, and I'm like, I could get through anything because look at what he did, you know?
Exactly.
So it just showed a crazy amount of strength, like I've never seen before.
Well, I have to say this to you. You got a strong afro going on there, girl. And I am an afro wearer, so it's very, my style now is a little bit different.
Yeah.
But people who wear afros tend to be free-spirited. Are you free-spirited?
I would say so.
So you kind of holding on to yourself because I see you gripping your fingers.
Girls, go ahead and hold her hand. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because I mean, really, we don't bite. Usually, we don't bite our.
What's your zodiac sign, Jazz?
What was that?
What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Capricorn. I don't feel like one though, so I don't know about all that stuff.
That's pretty matter of fact. Yeah.
Let's pivot real quick. Let's get into Jesse. You always got to get the drummer some. Always got to get the drummer some.
Okay.
You know, because the drummer's the last person that everybody want to interview. I'm a drummer. I had to give you some stuff. Jesse, tell me a little bit more history about you. How did you get into the group, and when did you start playing drums? Give us a little history about that, please.
Yeah. So I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I started playing drums when I was very young. I was raised on country music and choir music.
Oh.
Country and choir. That's all I had. I didn't know any rock and roll. I didn't know anything like that. And when I was in 5th grade, I started playing snare drum, and I was just playing like classical songs, like orchestral music and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I learned how to play, drum kit. My sister was playing, and I learned from her. That was super exciting for me, just like seeing a drum kit in our house. And she was like, "Oh, I have to practice." And I'm like, "I want to play. I got to get on these drums." I just started playing nonstop ever since. Once I moved from Kansas City to California, that was like the big break for me to just like break off everything I was doing in Kansas City and introduce myself to a whole new life. Just like clean slate, I could just be a whole brand new person. I wasn't really a brand new person. I was pretty much the same. But I let go of all that stuff like the other people thought of me. And so I'm out in California. I'm with a band. I'm playing a bunch of different bands. I'm like just tossed around between a bunch of different bands. I feel like drummers are like that. And I started working at a music school teaching drums, guitar, piano, bass. I play a lot of different instruments. And one of the guitarists there, Adam, was playing guitar in Slapback at the time. And he asked me, "Hey, we need a drummer. Do you want to play in Slapback?" And I was like, "Yeah." I saw a video of JARA, and the instant I saw JARA playing drums, it was all over for me. And he filled every role model role. That was everything to me. Every time I would see him pick up a bass or pick up the sticks, pick up a guitar, play the keyboard, whatever it is, JARA's going to be like the top performer of all that stuff.
It's like the Prince.
I put him there.
Slapback.
I don't know if that's true,
Yeah, right.
but it's true for me.
Yeah.
You know, he's my guy on it for music. And so I joined the band. I couldn't really play the way he wanted me to play when I first started playing. I was playing like rock and roll. I was playing like jazz, stuff like that. But I had never played funk music, and not just funk music, but the style of funk that JARA has cultivated. It's JARA's funk. And so he started coaching me, and geez, it took so long for me to pick it up. And I was ready to give up at every step of the way. I was driving myself crazy, like thinking about it. And the one thing I kept thinking was, I can't do this for him. That's all I wanted. I'm a diligent person, and I just want to give people what I have. And so he was just there for me the whole time and just saying, just keep going. You have it. You have it. You're going to get it. Geez, I think it took, and I kept learning kind of, at a good pace, but once COVID happened and JARA went through his cancer, that stuff wasn't just about that had nothing to do with the music at that point. It was just about us, like him and what I felt as he went through that, and the strength he showed us all. Jazz told you, I mean, this man's faith is like a mountain. I'm telling you, it's like indestructible. And that was such a lesson for me, and I swear once we got back, I think he was about ready to let me go. He was just telling me this the other day. You're fired! He was like, well, we kind of weren't doing anything, and then Jesse called me and he wanted to come back, so I was like, okay, let's do it. And then once we came back, everything started to just rise. I mean, we went from a precipitous fall. It seemed like the whole world was falling down on JARA, and then he had to fall down too. And then once he picked himself back up, we all picked ourselves back up, and we have just had the most amazing time lifting ourselves up, and hopefully lifting everybody else up with us.
Let me say that I know we did a sidebar behind the stage. How you like vampires?
Yes. Okay. I don't like vampires. I don't want to interact with vampires. Okay. I was looking up. We have a vampire tour right now. I just did this. We have a vampire tour. We're going to New Orleans, which is vampire capital of the U.S.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And Dayton is number 2.
What?
Dayton is number 2 for vampires. This is what I heard.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this. I'm not saying.
The gothic look.
Yeah.
Is this true?
So,
I didn't know that.
It's not specifically spelled that way, but there's a lot of paranormal activity here.
Oh.
You sit around.
Yeah, I mean, these houses.
I can feel it.
These houses look like Amityville horror houses.
I can feel it.
Luckily, we're out tomorrow, right?
Yeah. I'm glad I found this out at the end of our trip.
Why do you think I've been sleeping with the door open?
Good vibes, y'all.
Maybe the vampires are just nice here.
Okay.
Gus, the man behind the scenes, hitting that good guitar, man. When I seen it, I was like, oh my God, this young man is great. And how old are you guys, man?
How old am I?
Yes.
23.
Oh.
Wow.
He's the youngest
very
one.
talented, very talented.
Thank
One
you.
thing I'd like to say, I'm coming back to you guys, you integrating the youth.
Yes.
That's what we were talking about. Me and Jazz were talking about the youth and energy. It's from old school to new school. And that's what I like. So Gus, give me a little bit more about your history. How'd you start playing guitar? What's your likes and dislikes about music? And give me a little bit about you, please.
I started playing music really young. I started on the drums when I was about 5. And I took to that, and I just loved playing the old songs from like the 70s and 90s and all those eras that my dad put me on. And I picked up the guitar when I was like 13, started learning a bunch of funk tunes and hip-hop stuff. It's funny you say he's bringing the youth in, because we talk about it all the time. Like, I basically got put onto the West Coast hip-hop stuff, which was really 70s funk music,
Right.
resampled,
Yeah.
And then once I started digging in, I fell in love with like 70s funk music. That was my flavor. And then when I started working with Gerald, it was like, that was the type of stuff I was writing and doing. And he was like,
He brought me back to that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
People always think like, oh, the youngins are bringing in the youth, but you know the cycle.
Yeah.
Everything comes back around, and he was like, Gerald's more progressive with the new age stuff than me. I was going back, and he was going forward.
I swear, they brought us back to the funk because, you know, we've been venturing off to other. Yeah, go ahead.
But
man,
yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, Slapback always just made sense when Jazz started playing with Slapback. I was just hanging, you know, we were hanging out, and I wasn't in the band yet, and she would be coming home and practicing her parts and stuff, and I'd be like, I just loved watching it, and I always was jealous. She'd be like, I gotta go to the gig, and I'd just be sitting at home like,
You were there.
I'm like, I'm a funk guitarist, man. I gotta be up there.
And
But-
you were listening to
You come out.
Slapback as a toddler.
yeah, I was listening to Slapback when I was like a little kid and stuff. So,
Yeah.
The one thing about Gus that's, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish.
his sound was just familiar to me. Like when a lot of people, it's like they come from these backgrounds, like Jesse was talking about and stuff. But like for me, the funk, hip hop, rock, like the way that he blends it together, it just was like, that's my shit. That makes sense when I hear it. And the feel always was like, I just gravitated towards. So when I started working with Gerald, it was just like,
Yeah,
you know, it was like, what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? You know.
I want to say something about Gus because that was kind of a very important thing that happened that kind of pulled Slapback to what it is right now. So Jazz, I brought Jazz on kind of early. She hadn't been playing. Jazz was a late bloomer. She bypassed music for years. And everyone was like, oh, that's Jared's daughter. She's the one. And she was like, nah, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't into it. We practiced, she'd leave the room. You know, she just was not interested. But so she got into it. She was about 16. She picked up the guitar, and then her mom texted me. She's like, she's been playing for 2 hours and hasn't put the guitar down. I'm like, what?
Wow.
And so she started playing. And so when she was about 19, 3 years later, she wasn't ready to do Slapback, but she could play good enough where I just kind of worked her in. And I didn't want to offend the rest of the band, like, oh, Jared's just trying to bring in his daughter, and she has special privileges because she wasn't on the level. But I give her parts that I knew she could play that was simple, that still worked with us. Mm-hmm. So she's doing it for about a year. She started getting more confident. But the key was she was going out with Gus. And I knew of Gus because her and like my nephews and niece told me about Gus. And Gus was kind of like the mystery guy. Like, he's kind of the one. And Gus reminded me a lot of when I was his age. You know what I mean? So I knew where Gus was at. And I heard him play one time. I go, this little kid has the pocket in there already. Like, I've had to coach other people, like Jesse's got it. But Jesse didn't come in with that. Mm-hmm. Gus had it before I even touched Gus. Mm-hmm. And so Gus helped Jazz. It wasn't just me. So, you know, one thing was coming from the dad, but the fact that they were together, mm-hmm. she was getting it from both ends, and so Gus really would help her, and then Jazz started going, and it was like, and then and that's when Jesse saw it, and Jesse had to deal with a different band. It wasn't on the level to. I always felt bad for Jesse. I would never ever cut Jesse because Jesse was like my man, but I always felt like he was part of the band that was. I almost feel like almost tainted, maybe was messing with Jesse. I didn't know how Jesse even felt about going forward. But when he called me, it's because he saw what was happening between the three of us. Ah. And then, and he knew that it was a different thing. So when Jesse stepped into it, then Jesse went, because it was all making sense. Yes. And then my wife got back in it after she had kind of stepped away for a couple of years from having the baby. And she didn't mean to step into it. It was COVID, and we couldn't play anywhere. So this Slapback was kind of born from the COVID, like we're stuck at home. We were doing garage, little COVID videos, the four of us, I'm playing drums. And then Jesse came in, there was the five of us. And Slapback was the five of us for a while. And TJ and I have been together 4 years. But we had reached a place where we've been in a fight together for so long to try to get there, and I just feel like we weren't at the same place, and you know I was about to give up myself. These two kind of saved me from just saying, I'm not going to do it anymore. So then we brought TJ back because we had to. That's a funny thing. He came back because we had to, because the cancer, I couldn't sing so well. So I reached out to TJ, because we were always boys. It was never, we were always brothers.
Right.
I said, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, TJ, hey man, I might need you for a couple of gigs just because they can't really sing. That was back in, 2022. He's here. Yeah, I mean, it was just he came to help out, and then we're all like, it kind of feels like Slapback again when TJ's here, because TJ carries the energy and force kind of the visual of Slapback. He also writes and he sings. He's not just a rapper. He comes with hooks, but physically the way you see Slapback when TJ's not there, it ain't quite that. So then we had that. We found a girl. She was great, just different vibe. She did it for about 2 years, and Deja was thinking about moving out to California. And I had my eye on Deja. We worked together in a studio. I met her like 4 years. She's 21. And she just was getting started. She wasn't able to do like Slapback. I didn't think she was there yet. And but I always had my eye on her. She was doing her own thing, her solo thing, and I thought maybe it might work out if Deja's moving out here and she rents our back unit. So I'm like, but her being close, we might be able to get this together, because Randy Jackson had just come on board managing us. We didn't have time like I had with the rest of the guys to get. We needed someone that could step in now and make it happen, because we're about to release a new record, blah, 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 blah. And she came and we worked with me one time in the studio, and I was like, maybe, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. And we were thinking about getting our old singer, and TJ was like, yeah, I think we need our old singer.
Yeah, I wanted our old girl back.
Elise.
I wasn't thinking about this right yet.
And so, but then we had her come to a rehearsal with the whole band, and this girl was almost like the missing link. And everybody knew, like, she just walked in and just fit. Choking wise, attitude wise, her whole attitude, and the timbre of her voice went with us, and all of a sudden her vocals and us, all of a sudden her vocals went. I was like, wow. And she just like, dude, I'm like, I know, right?
That's funny, because it sounds like what you're saying is you knew it all along spiritually. You knew that she was carrying something that you would need.
Yes.
I got it.
I just wasn't quite, I wasn't quite sure, and especially with the time that we had. I was telling, like, Jasmine, I was telling her, like, I don't have time to train anybody. So we knew that's what we need to find, someone that could come in and really, and even Randy was like, oh yeah, she fits like a glove. And we've been having the best time. She's like family now, just like that. She's a fit.
Hey, Deja, let's tell your story.
I want to know, because see, you have said words that really speak to me. Like, I feel this. I can really, that type of. So, what was your experience?
It was good. I mean, I first went out there because we had a mutual friend that was trying to like manage me at the time, and like my parents are super supportive and everything. So we flew out and he took me to the NAMM convention, and at first I just seen JARA playing with Coco and them, and I was just like, I don't like this. Like, what is this?
Feeling it.
Yes. And so we went out to eat and stuff, and he's like, oh man, I have a gig. And I was like, what? Like, you just go like that, But me and my family seen Slapback for the first time, and I was just like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to do this. And my mom and dad's like, yeah, you got to stay connected with him. Like, this is great. They're all excited and stuff. So for like the past like 5 years, I kept saying, I'm going to move out there. If you need someone, like, let me know. I will move out there. And like you said, I was young at the time. Yeah. It kind of came up, but I just couldn't like make that jump. So when I met him for my 25th birthday, I told him, like, this is the year. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'll be there. Opportunity comes up. Like, I'm just saying, And so when he texted me, he was like, hey, Deja, I think, the opportunity by being here, I sold all my stuff. I packed my bags, and my family drove me 26 hours out here.
Wow!
And I told my parents, I said, you know, even I was like, even if he doesn't choose me, I'm like, I'm the crier of the group. I'm just very blessed to learn from JARA. I try to come out here as much as I could years before, just to like learn, because you know, in Kansas City, like, it's rapping and it's not like real music. I mean, it's kind of there, but it's not the scene. It's hard to get that. And so coming out here, I'm like, this is what I want to be around, you know, people that aren't like, oh, you're doing the same thing as me, like, girl, you want to do this, like, I'm the best. And it's like, oh no, teach me how you do that. And just the style with funk, like, my family's so happy because my dad always told me, like, you need to get some, like, culture in you. Stop singing like that, you know, like, what's wrong with you? Like, go explore some more. So even JARA has a hard time. He's like, maybe don't sound so y'all. Like, stop doing that. And so it's nice to kind of like reach that route and do something different, because I enjoy all music. So it's nice that they took a chance on me and
we need to get this girl some tissues.
We won.
I know, they be on me like.
She's a little emotional.
There's nothing wrong with that, because the
newbie, okay?
Well, you know what? Cry when you need to cry. It
Absolutely.
actually washes the soul. And from everything that you guys have gone through, and I know that there are many more stories that we don't have time to explore. However, sometimes it just takes that physical experience to bring everyone to where they need to be. So Gus had a lot of influence, and Dad over here is influence, because see, I know it's hard to listen to your father and your mother, but that Gus, that boyfriend, that thing. But it's all good, and you've hit where you belong. So that's great.
You know, I got to talk to my hip hop star, TJ. Bring it to me, man. Tell me what's going on. Let's hear the TJ story.
Well!
You're the hype man. Come on.
You asked for it.
Yeah, you get me started. No, to be honest with you, man, I actually kind of got started when I first saw Slapback for the first time. They were playing at a place called the Coach House, and I had always been into music. So, but I was into all kinds of different styles of music. I was technically into more '80s, you know, rock type stuff. Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Nicks, all these type of people, you know. So I came from that era, and then funk wasn't really introduced to me because my mom and them used to listen to it. So I really wasn't into it at the time when I was a kid, but it grew on me after a while. And then one day I started getting into rapping, you know, and I was with my cousin. I wanted to start making my own music with it. So I started searching out, where can I get musicians? And so I went to my Uncle Marcus. He had this tape, and he was playing like this tape that he said he wrote. He wrote these songs. So I'm listening to the song going, oh, dude, Gerald, what's the name of that song, dude?
Life Alone.
Life Alone. I'm listening to this song, oh, man, this is you working? Oh, wow, that's your band? Oh, snap. Yeah, man, this is me. But Gerald, he's on the other side. I said, who's Gerald? Well, he's the guy that got the band Slapback. I said, Slapback, that's tight. And so he flips the other side of the tape on to play Gerald's singing it. So I'm listening to that, and I'm going, hey, you guys sound exactly the same. He's like, yeah, well, you know, me and Gerald, we have the same kind of voice. You know, I'm like, wow, okay. And then I listen to the other side again, and I'm going, that's almost a little too much the same.
Like maybe the exact same.
Maybe the exact same, Marcus. So anyway, long story short, he takes me, we started a big band with him. And Gerald and them used to rehearse at Band West.
Next door.
Yeah, and we used to, and so one day I walked into their room, my Uncle Marcus is going to introduce me to JARA. He said, yeah, I'm going to introduce you to JARA Harris. He's like, you guys got to be cool though, man, because they were Warner Brothers, all this stuff. I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, okay. So we go in there, and they had their whole setup. Like because Warner Brothers was paying for their whole setup. And I walked in there for the first time. And for me, I wasn't used to being around a band, So I walked in there, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is nice. And he introduced me to JARA. And JARA was just a real cool, just welcoming guy. I thought he was going to be kind of like one of these guys, like, yeah, whatever, buddy. But he was really cool. And he said, hey, you guys, want to come down to our show? We're having a show at the Coach House. So anyway, we get to the Coach House. They get ready to come on. Lights are off. And they come down the stage, and I'll never forget it. This is my story for life. They coming down the stage, and the lights are all off, and they're coming down with flashlights and everything. I'm like, what the hell? And they coming down this thing, and next thing you know, the lights come on, the flashlights go off, and they just break into, I think it was Georgie or something like that. Or
I can't remember the time.
All I know is it was the most wild, crazy thing. I saw the Booty Sisters doing their thing and everything, so forth.
Those are my sisters.
Julie and Janine.
Yeah,
Julie and Janine, they were the Booty Sisters at the time. And man, I was like, oh my God. And I'm looking at my cousin Sean, I'm saying, Sheldon, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. And one thing led to another. We started doing Pump City, the group that he had started, like a side project with his keyboard player Chainsaw. And they were looking for a rapper, so I got introduced to doing that with them. And then next thing I know, one day me and Gerald kind of like recording in his garage, and we're doing these songs and everything. And I'm like, wow, man, these songs. I was just excited just to record with this brother. I was like, wow, you gonna have me on? Okay, cool. And I didn't care if the song was gonna be. I just was happy I was getting to record with him. So next thing I know, I said, wow, man, this is gonna be tight. You guys' album is gonna be. He said, what do you mean, you guys? Not my album. No, it's our album.
Absolutely.
I said, me? He said, yeah. You didn't think I was gonna have you do these songs and not have you in the band, did you? I was like.
Oh, you already know.
Deer in the headlight.
Yeah. I was like, wow, I get to be in Slapback?
I'm a Slapback.
You know what I'm saying? And that was like, that was it for me. I was just like, I had to, I was like, that was my dream for me to be, doing something like that. And
he brought new life in the Slapback at a time where I just was kind of over it. At that time, I was ready over it. What's up?
Yeah, because there was a bunch of drama with Warner Brothers and stuff like that. He was getting ready to try to do something with another different labels and stuff like that. But I was just excited to be. I didn't care. Like, hey, well, whatever you want to do, I'm there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And next thing I know, we're doing a Sway video and this and that, and things started kind of lifting from there. And
after that, we kind of became like John Lennon and Paul McCartney. We were writing everything together.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the Slapback catalog during that time was mainly TJ and I.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were doing a lot of writing.
Absolutely. Hey, Elise, you didn't think you were gonna get out of it. Come on now, let's hear a little bit about what motivated you to really dig in there and get into it.
Ooh, it's been hard. My story is really short. I took like 1.5 years of lessons when I was 12 for piano. I was forced by my parents. I grew up just like Jesse with country music. I'm from Iowa. Really, really small town.
I never thought she was from Iowa.
No.
Dyke, Iowa, 900 people. Small. But yeah, that was it. I was not music. I was all sports all day, and then moved to Minneapolis, and then moved out to California because I always wanted to cut hair and live in California. And I met him. He was playing drums in a band, and I used to have a few cocktails when I was working, and then I'd get behind the pianos, and the guy would tell me what notes to play, and I would have so much fun.
Yeah.
And that's how that happened.
And she had this style that everyone would be like, she looked at the time, she looked like she'd be like a lead singer of a band. She was like black hair, prints on the side, and she'd come up and everyone would say, remember we used to say like, Elise looks like a rock star?
Yeah.
She would sit on the keyboards, it's just all cute, and it was like, if you really, you know, I always had that in my mind. But before that, she's like, I don't have a musical bone in my body. I don't. And I was like, I found out she could play because she was drunk one night. And she showed up at my studio. And I'm in the room, and in the other room, I hear the Titanic, right? Like it sounded like someone wrote sheet music and gave it to a pianist and say, you know, play Titanic.
Oh, wow.
And I walk in the room, and she's there drunk, playing it, crossing over, modulating. I'm like going, what? What? You play? Like, oh, I try, you know, I don't know many songs. So I messed around. I tried to show her some funk parts, and she was able to get it. She had the syncopation and the coordination to do, you know, syncopated parts. I'm like, it's kind of crazy. So she kind of like creeped in. She sat in on the first time she ever played with Slapback was our wedding reception. And the band played, and she came up in the wedding dress, and she dang, 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 dang. And everyone went nuts, you know. But it's funny because everyone always thought, oh, Jared's doing this kind of Prince thing. He's got some model up there that don't really play. And I remember we were doing a show at the Boulevard, and all these musicians from out of town were there. And we were playing like just a Missy Elliott song, Get Your Freak On. And they were listening to dun, 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 and they look over and they're like, I see them nudging each other like, man, she's really playing that. And they all started watching Elise. And they realized like she wasn't just a pretty girl up there, she was really playing. Elise could play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cool, but she was always like, I can't, you know. She's so humble and she doesn't claim none of it. And so maybe recently she's kind of getting some confidence. Like, yeah, I play keyboards.
she seems to be an introvert, that inner personality, but you got that.
You would never guess like on some of these, like you be these like, because sometimes she'd be tripping me out. We'd be at rehearsal, and it's like when I really can hear Elise, and I'm like listening to, I'm thinking it's the track sometimes, but it's Elise over there just, and I'm like, and she's just chill though. She's just standing, standing there like this, and you're hearing all this, and I'm like going, what?
Yes.
I'm like looking at Joe like, dude.
Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
No, I was just going to say, that's, and kind of in conclusion about this introduction of the band, the new record that we have, Funk Lives Matter, that's coming out in October. We did it almost like how the Funk Brothers did records with Motown. We were like in a room, Elise, Gus, Jesse and I, and we would do the music. Even Teacher would be in there, even if he's not doing we didn't do vocal overdubs yet, but just the energy of us would be in there, and we would record tracks live and get the whole foundation of the song that way. And for Jesse, those were the drum tracks, and sometimes like that was the keyboards because there was no bleed because she's going straight in for bass. But like the vibe of this record is the first band record I think we've had since Blue Light Special was our second record. It's always been like I do like 80%. Who's ever coming in my get on it guitar part? I've always done the majority of the Slapback, records, because we just had people coming in and out of the band. And Teacher and I would always do the vocals, and whoever was the girl singer at the time. But this band became something that was different, and I recognize it because I've had a lot of musicians come do Slapback. This band has a certain thing, and even musicians that are really great musicians have respect for what the unit does together. It does something special. We're actually able to capture it in the studio, which blows my mind. You know what I mean? I'm like blown away by it. I'm like a fan, like still on the outside, like, you guys, what? Yeah, it's amazing. We're very excited about,
one of the things when I said look at you and look at some of your videos, look at your dress, that Sly and Family Stone by.
Yeah.
That's
what Randy said.
Yeah, because one of the things is I was at one of the concerts, I thought you were going to say, if you want me to stay. I was ready for you to get that.
Yeah, right.
Because everybody has their different vibe and style.
Right.
Right. And I just love it. So let's pivot for just a moment. The music of today and back then,
right.
What's your thoughts about it? Gus?
Like, what do you mean, like my...
the music of today.
Yeah.
the styles of today than the 70s or the style of the generations you like? It doesn't matter. Gus,
I got something to say about this. So before, when we didn't have like social media, we had no phones, we had no way to instantly interact with people across a long distance. All the bands that would come up had to be grassroots, and it had to be people talking to people. You could call them on the phone, but it was one person calling one person, and they had to spread the word, one person at a time. And what ended up happening was you would have people in little pockets of populations that would get popular, but the only people that would rise up out of those little groups would be just legendary. That's why that happened, I think, because everything was sequestered in their little cities and everything. Only way you could get above it is if TV let you in. You know, that's radio let you in. You had to get, and there was a lot of gatekeeping, I feel like, we can only have the best of the best on the radio or the TV. There's like way fewer radio channels, way fewer TV channels, you know, so that's what happened. We had these legends that just rose above everybody else. And then once we had phones, now that we have phones and everything, people can make all sorts of music, and any population, any group of person can find their music, and bands have a lot more power to control their destiny. And so if you can find the people, you don't have to have everybody in the whole world. You don't have to have radio, you don't have to have TV, because you have YouTube and you have word of mouth and you have social media. And some random person in Florida can see some random person in Seattle, Washington's video and say, oh my God, that's my favorite band that I've ever seen. And it's those two people halfway across the world that like a band. Maybe they're from like New York City, whatever it is, you know?
I feel like, I don't know, this really answers it too, like technology and everything is great, but especially working with JARA, like when you hear people and they go and record, like even with when I did pop and stuff, it was easy to go record, and if it was kind of off, they just, you know, move everything up very like, so it's easy now to like just be kind of trend, like the same thing. Like I'm all about if people sound good live. And so I feel like with technology, it takes away with, you know, like them playing live music. It has to be right. If it's not, you redo it. Same with vocals. You know, there was background vocals, your vocals. If you screwed up, you didn't have, like, you have to perfect it in the studio and singing it live. And I feel like nowadays it's so hard because you find this artist and you're like, yeah, it's so great. And you watch them live and it's like, what happened? Like, I'm not giving the same because it's so just compressed and I don't know, so I feel like it's great. I feel like there's still stuff out there like that nowadays. It's just a little harder to like find through all the bandwagon artists and trends, but it also helps improve the new music. So I don't know if that really.
It's interesting for me because I'm 55 years old. I was born in 1969, so I was gigging at age 4 and 5. So I was playing Fire, Skin Tight from the drums when it was out. And it's a very unique situation because people hear that and they're like, dude, you're not old enough to, I'm like, no, you don't understand. I started my profession at 4, like for real. So I've had the journey of seeing the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000s, and present. So it's always been interesting to me when the 90s came, I'm like, oh, they're just doing what they were doing in the 70s, you know? And when I hear stuff like even alternative went very 80s, even right to this day, they're still doing a lot of 80s stuff that people don't realize is 80s, or no, that's 80s, you know? So the journey has been really cool because I've been chasing it for so long. So I've always had to stay relevant where music went. But to be here now and to see that music is brought, I hate to use Bruno Mars, but I'm going to use Bruno Mars because he's an artist that went back with, you know, what's his name, Ronson, Mark Ronson, when he did Uptown Funk. And just the fact that they did a song that said funk in the title did something for the pop audience to be aware of funk. It's not that we know funk never disappeared, but funk wasn't something that people wasn't interested in maybe doing new funk because the market wasn't coming for it, you know, not in that mass pop, you know, world. So some funksters were kind of hating on Bruno Mars. I'm like, dude, I love it. Yeah, it ain't exactly P-Funk, it ain't the deepest funk, but I love that he had enough courage to say, I'm gonna put it in the forefront, and they're doing moves like the time, and like he paid homage to funk, and it really did get a lot of people hip to it. And once that wave started, people have really grabbed onto it. And then, you know, he did Silk Sonic and everything like that. But the cool thing with Slapback is that it's always been a mix. I'm like TJ, my era is the late 80s, Bobby Brown, Rage Against the Machine, all that stuff. So I went backwards to learn the funk. You know, I played it as a kid, kinda, but it wasn't my growing musical time. So I had to go back and revisit that stuff. So I was learning funk in my 20s. So, you know, because I had a love for it. But what this has become is like, it's all that rock influence, it's a funk influence, it's a hip hop influence, there's jazz influence, there's gospel influence. So, you know, it's, now you can be a mutt. When we came out in 92, you had to fit right there. And if we didn't fit there, there was no room for us, especially in black music. Right, in white alternative, you had Eminem, Beastie Boys, all the way to the punk, you know, Green Day. It was very wide, but for black artists, it was like hip hop, urban, right here. And so we didn't fit coming out. We didn't fit because they didn't know if we were this or that.
Oh yeah, black.
But nowadays you see people's playlists and everything, and since social media, you realize people like everything.
Yes.
A band like this makes sense now, way more now than it did back in '92.
So guys, I know we're going to wind it up. I asked a couple of questions, but I'll wind this up. What is your thoughts of a funk center or a funk museum in the Dayton, Ohio area? What's your thoughts?
I love that. When I heard about that, I was like, yes.
Yeah,
you know,
I didn't even know there was a funk museum until
Yes.
Drew said, hey, we're going to probably try to get something put in a funk museum. And I'm like, they got a funk museum?
it would be an honor for us to be a part of anything like that, because I mean, I give props always to the funk artists before us. I mean, like Jesse says, you know, JARA Funk is just a watered down or mutated version of everything that's been done already. I know I tell people that all the time. I go, I'm a student in funk. I'm not a creator of the funk. I'm one of the students. So it came from slave Ohio players, P-Funk, Cameo, you know, Slide. Yeah. I'm always will do that because that's where it came from. I always want them to get their props. So this record, Funk Lives Matter, isn't just about us. It's just saying, sometimes I feel like we forget our culture. You look at the Hispanics, they always keep the traditional music that they can reference to. I've met some of these young black people when I were on tour, and they're like, I never even heard of funk. I'm like, you never heard of Marvin Gaye? You never heard of... Like,
I never knew funk was a genre.
They're not even used to bands.
Right.
Wow.
So I think,
some of them.
so it's important. So I'm like, we're going to put it straight in the title, Funk Lives Matter. And that's what it is, and that's a funk record.
Okay, so, you know, like I said, I meant to say this, one of the songs, what's one of your favorite songs on your release albums that you sing and hum? Starting with you, TJ.
Give me that funk.
Give me that fun.
Oh, you mean off of Slapback record?
Slapback record.
You talking about one that's been released or one that's
Yeah, it could be an old one or a new one.
Oh, okay, cool.
What's go ahead.
I like the
Pure funk,
Pure Funk. That's a good.
Wow.
but it changes every week.
He's got too big of a discography.
Yeah.
It's like,
I gotta say pure funk as well.
oh wow.
We come to jam.
I like the new record.
The Key.
Oh, the
The
key.
Key.
Wow, that's a different one.
And Love Rider.
The Key and Lover, okay. I would say for me, I really like the new stuff.
I know.
Me too.
I really like the new stuff.
You know, you guys are awesome. Awesome. I love the energy y'all have, and thank you for coming on the Funk Chronicles. This is big. You know, and And I love the endorsement, how you endorse the Funk Center, the Funk Museum. That's important. And meeting David Webb, the guy, you know that guy?
Yeah. That dude, David Webb.
Yeah, he gave me some chicken wings.
Actually, we're going to go check out the Funk Walk after this.
Yes. There's a lot of things happening in Dayton, Ohio. And we're just happy that you guys have an opportunity to come on the Funk Chronicles, okay?
Thank you so much for having me.
This is David Webb.
And Jasmine Summers, Super Soul Sister.
From the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's Funk Chronicles. Until the next time, Jasmine Summers, the Super Soul Sister. What do you have for the people out there? Give it to me.
Keep it funky, baby. Spirit, soul, and body. Put it in your pocket. Bring it to the party. All of us have fun, everybody.
All right, until the next time, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Check, one. I'm like Bird Reynolds and Cannonball Run. I'm living nice dreams like Cheech and Chong. And everybody better watch your ass. Try to catch me, cause this car is fast. All you suckers wanna just name. It's getting lonely, going down this road. Going for miles, without some love. Let me tell you what you do. Mr. Cup and Dry Spell.
Yeah. Dang. It feels so good. Wait. Hey, don't it feel good? Come on.
Do-de-do-do, dee-de-do-do. Do-dee-do, dee-de-get your do-do. Dee-de-do-do, dee-de-do-do. Do-dee-de-do-do, get your do-do. Get your do-do, dee-de-do-do. Do-dee-de-do-do, dee-de-do. Slapback. Take it back. Jack. Yeah.